What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grab me your beer and grab me a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I am your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do. Hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do, hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from Brooklyn, New York, Mr. Cody Lewis.
What's up? What's up, team? How are you?
What up, dude?
It's good to be here.
Third time.
Yeah.
Third time on the show.
What's the record for guest?
Four. Four's the record.
Who's that?
Matt Fulcheron, who is like my mentor and I feature for.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
I remember you went on the road with
Yeah.
him, so.
Oh, yeah. We've been on the road doing the Bro Adjacent Tour. Before we get too far into anything, plug out. You know the deal. Plug everything up front. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, your show, Hell Yeah Comedy.
Right now, I just... fuck, dude. I haven't posted in a year. But Cody Lewis Comedy.
Wait, I'm sorry. It's been a year since you and Billy had that competition?
Yeah, last April.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Last April, my roommate and I, who's a comic, we had a contest who could get more followers in a month. So we were posting, trying to get followers. It didn't work.
You got some followers.
Yeah, but a lot of it beat the contest at the end. Do I look at them or do I look at you?
You look wherever you want.
The contest at the end became who could follow. If you would follow a comic, they follow you back.
Yeah.
So at the end, we're just like following
So
comics.
it just turned into who can follow the most comics.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
at the
lame.
end. That was like at the last day, though. Where
Yeah.
we're like, oh.
Because you guys
it's
had
coming
real
at it.
stakes in this competition, didn't you?
It was like chest shaving.
Yeah.
But it never happened.
Oh. You probably would have gotten more followers just from doing a chest shaving.
I know. Well, that was also the thing because he lost, so then he was going to get the chest shaving. So I was like, wait, this isn't.
You weren't going to shave his chest personally?
No, we're going to get a wax. He was supposed to get a
okay.
wax. So I was like, yeah. But, yeah, so I kind of lost steam.
You just were like, was it a conscious, I have so many questions like rumbling around in my head. Was it a conscious decision where you were like, I'm fucking sick of posting? Or were you just like, okay, I'm just going to post less? Because you did go hard. You were posting like twice or three times a day, like every day for a month.
Yeah.
So were you just kind of like, I'm over this?
It was like I got discouraged.
Yeah.
And I also, the way I write material, I don't have enough to be posting all the time.
Yeah.
And then crowd work shit wasn't working.
Yeah.
So basically, though, it was like, I'll just like not post for a while and then just want to say just
You just
a year
forgot about
later.
it?
Yeah.
The lifeblood of our industry now? You're like, whatever.
Yeah. So I needed to, the last like month, I'm like, okay, it's got to start. But again, it's like material.
Well, and that's the thing is because you're on, you're at Broadway Comedy Club, Greenwich Village Comedy Club. You're in that scene.
Yeah.
What other clubs are you at?
New York Comedy Club a little, but they forgot about me. So.
Hello, New York Comedy Club.
Pretty good.
It's kind of a big deal.
Well, yeah, they. I
You didn't have to say they forgot about you.
Well, they did. It's been like 2 months. Wait, did you take the class there?
No.
No, I thought you did for some reason.
No, it's just New York Comedy Club is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because I wanted to make the point, and I've talked about this before on the show, where it's like crowd work is, I understand why comics post crowd work because it's tangible. You can just kind of like turn it out, get it over with. And like material. So I went on tour. I featured, so I'm doing 25-minute sets. I did like 5 of them in a row. And it's like you record every single set.
Yeah.
But because I'm featuring, it's not my show. You got to bring the noise. So it's like, it's the same set pretty much.
Okay.
So to your point about like having enough material to just start throwing shit up like every single week, like I go back and I rewatch the sets and I'm like, it's the same, which is all material that I have already posted.
Yeah, right,
so
right.
It turns into this. Am I just going to post the same like 7 jokes
exactly
over and over and over?
Yeah,
and it's very discouraging. I mean, there are things that happen, you know, in the moment where you like something will happen and you're like, oh, okay. Like I have this bit about being sober and it being boring, and then like someone offers me a beer, which wasn't planned. The guy just like pulled a beer out of the bucket, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's like a unique situation to that same bit,
right?
But it's also like, how many times are people going to hear my movie line bit?
Oh, I know. I mean, the same. Even I'm like, okay, looking to post. What do I got? I got every Saturday I get a video from Broadway when I do Industry Room, which is like the Bringer show. They know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of them.
Anyway, so I have but every Saturday I'm doing mostly the same set because like the booker's in the room, so I want to do well. So I like slip new stuff, but I'm like, so I have like fucking 10 tapes in the last few weeks or a few months, and it's all the same material. So I'm like, oh, I post one, I can't just, I don't know.
Well, so I've gone back and forth with people about this, like people with a big following, and they're like, nobody cares. Like post if it's from a different set, but it's the same bit, post it. Post every single one you have. But I'm always like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I guess, but though it's like, you're really not.
Because like my videos are getting like 2,000 views. So it's like nobody cares. Nobody's seen it.
Right. But
There's
I guess if
30 million people on Instagram. Nobody's seen it.
Yeah, that's so brutal when you see how many people watch your video and you're like, then like less people like it and you're like, oh my God. But also like before you get a big following, posting the same shit, you might lose your like current following.
Yeah.
But it's not like, but you're really just trying to find your new audience.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't matter, but my ego. Also, this is like such a small thing, is when I post and then people come to watch me and they see the jokes they already saw on Instagram, that I just hate that. Even though I know it shouldn't matter. But
they'll bring it up to you though. Because like I've had Tracy, my girlfriend, she brings a lot of her teacher friends to my shows, which I'm incredibly grateful for. She's very supportive. But it is funny because sometimes they'll look me up on Instagram before the show.
Right.
And then after the show, they're like, oh my God, you did the bit about the Mighty Ducks. Like, I love that bit. That was my favorite bit I saw on Instagram, too. And they're very supportive. But in my head, I'm like, you fucking hack.
Yeah.
Just redoing old material over and over and over.
Well, and also, I don't think a lot of regular people don't realize that's what comedy is. Like repeating.
We just started
jokes.
watching Crashing. And in the first season, TJ Miller, he befriends TJ Miller. And TJ Miller, like, is starting every set with the same joke. And Tracy has seen this live. Like, she's come to shows. We've lived together for almost a year now. She has seen like what goes into stand up. And it's so funny because even living with a comedian, she still turns to me and she goes, you don't do the same exact joke every single time you start a set, do you?
Right.
Because like that's the bit in the show. Like TJ starts every set the same way. And she's like, you don't do that. And I was like, actually.
Yeah, every time.
Kind of do.
Yeah.
Kind of do.
That's brutal. Especially, I feel like my opener too like works. Sometimes it works too well, where like the rest of the jokes, like
You're
my next
setting
joke,
everyone,
yeah, my next joke is like a dip, and they're like, I'm like, okay, well, that shouldn't be my opener, but it also like it works. So
yeah,
like,
and you want to get them on your side. I've seen you a lot on stage, and it's so funny because you have, and we've talked about this before. So on the last couple episodes you've been on, we talked about the tattoo you got with your mom. Yeah. There was big confusion on TikTok. A lot of people thought you were the Cody guy from Wyoming who killed that wolf.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And that clip went viral of you. It says Cody apologizes. And so everyone thought it was the guy who killed the wolf.
And I look nothing like that. The guy's like
at all.
50-year-old old fucking from the South or Idaho or something.
Yeah, he's from like the North. Like he's like one of those frontier. He looks like a frontiersman.
Yeah, it's the opposite of me.
And you're like a 20-something-year-old skinny kid in New York.
I know.
And people were, and it was so funny too because the caption just said Cody apologizes because you talked about like you went on a date with a girl and got hammered and then you were like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. But
yeah, fuck her.
It was funny because everyone was like, this isn't an apology. You killed that wolf. Like comments.
Like they didn't even watch the video?
No, and it made me realize, because we all joke about how dumb the internet can be, but it really made me realize like, oh, you guys are really just not even like looking into any, like I have friends that have a following and they go, you have to make it as easy as possible. So like if you want people, like if I want people to watch my one man show, it has to be just one click away. And I go, oh, well, I always link it to the Patreon and they can get it through that. And they go, no, that's 2 clicks. That's too many clicks.
Oh, shit. Right.
And then I realized when that video caught a little steam, I mean, viral in the sense for me, it had like 500,000 views.
Nice.
But I was just like, oh, you guys don't even pay attention to anything.
That's crazy.
And that's why I think the internet can be frustrating because we see some of these videos that pop and we're like, really? That?
Right.
Because I've seen you on stage at least a couple dozen times, if not a couple hundred times. And you always seem so confident and like cool to me because you play this role of like, oh, I guess you guys didn't like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it all seems like it's a part of the plan.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, but it's funny because I know you and you always seem like a cool, reserved guy off stage, and on stage you have that almost like I feel like you're playing into it. And then last time you were on, I asked you, and you're like, no, that's just how I am on stage. So I always figured you would you would have a gold mine of like that kind of stuff,
like the awkward.
Yeah.
I have my like saves.
Yeah,
but as far as like, would that work for a clip? Sometimes with crowd work, I guess it does, but yeah, I don't have much of it.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't have clips of it that I feel are like worthy of posting.
Well, and see, and that's the other thing too is like we have our own barometer of like what we think we want to put out, like what we're presenting to the world. Because like I'll see you on stage, and if a joke doesn't land, you're like, okay, killing, and I'm dying in the back because it's so funny. But again, I could see why you'd be like, yeah, I'm not gonna post. Like I have a really funny clip from a show. But in the middle of the clip, I go, there's 12 people here. And I was like, well, I can't post that now.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm openly inviting, like, I didn't draw anybody to this show.
Oh, I see.
And you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's, now I just can't, it was a great clip. And it's like, well, now I'm
just. Cut that out real quick?
Nah, I'm probably going to, I probably could.
Yeah. I had actually a really good one I need to post where, like, it's not even worth explaining. But I have some clips backed up. But then the posting thing becomes a thing of, like, well, if I start posting now, I don't want to, I either want to do all or nothing.
Yeah.
I don't just want to post one and then wait for the next one.
Yeah.
But then the other day, someone pointed out to me, they're like, well, people might not even know you do stand-up anymore. Yeah. Which is also
it's been a year.
Problem. Yeah.
That's a long time because we have plenty of people in our lives that we're like, and I've talked about this before, but like we're past at clubs, like, and we're doing the thing, and then you don't see them for like a couple of months into a year, and then I'll turn to you or Ryan O'Toole or Espy, and I'll be like, hey, whatever happened to so-and-so? And they go, oh, they quit.
Right.
And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like their career was further, in New York especially, was way further ahead of mine.
Right.
But they quit?
Yeah, I remember.
And they're like, yeah, they're happy now. And you're like, what is this?
Yeah, that's when someone quits too, I feel like it's like this feeling where you're like, it's almost like a sickness or disease you can catch where it's like, to be that person who decides to quit. Part of me is like envious, like that's cool you did, but part of me is like, I hope that doesn't happen to me. Like I don't ever want to have that. Part of me is like thinking, maybe I should stop doing this. Yeah. So it almost like worries me when I hear someone quit, especially that far in.
Yeah, because there's a couple of people I'm thinking of, and I'm sure they're the same people that you know, where it's like, wait, they were like performing like 3 times a week.
Yeah, and they're good.
Yeah, and they were on McDougal Street. It might not have been the Cellar, but they were just a couple doors down.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, they quit?
Yeah, I remember Usama Siddiqui said, he was like, yeah, there's these funny motherfuckers 10 years in who you'll never know because they quit. Yeah. 10 years in, and they were so funny. And
there's people I've had on this show who no longer do stand-up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like when I first moved to New York and I was like grabbing people like crazy. And again, this goes back to what we're talking about. Like some of them, I was like, this is a very funny person. I want them on the show because eventually they're going to blow up. And they went completely the other direction. They were just like, no, I'm not. My heart's not in it anymore. I'm out.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like, is there any part of you that's like, I should stop doing this?
Not in a realistic way.
Yeah,
there are times like where I have a bad set and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah, of course.
But never in a realistic way. This is something, that I joke about this all the time. It's like I moved across the country to pursue this.
Right.
So it's like, why would I? And I'm in that weird transition now. I was actually just talking about this at a meeting the other day, a super secret society I can't tell you about.
I'd like to be part of it.
But
let me.
But I'm in this weird transition moment now where comedy is going better than it ever has. Like I'm touring with my buddy. he's letting me feature. So I'm doing 25 minutes at every show. And it's like, you know, I'm getting real stage time.
Yeah.
So I'm having to take off work to do that. But financially, like, it's not like, it's like, obviously I work, you know where I work in a really nice restaurant. So it's like, even if I got paid $300 to feature, it still doesn't amount to the amount of money I'd make in one night of work.
Yeah, right.
So it turns into but that, to your point, it's like, I never think twice. When he's like, hey, do you want to feature on these dates? I'm like, let me request off of work. Like, I never think twice about it.
Yeah. That's the trouble with working, because I've worked in restaurants forever, though, is you always do make good enough money where it's hard to transition into something else.
But see, that's the thing, is like, now I'm having to take off work more and more because I'm doing more comedy, but it's not financially, it's not equaling out the same.
Right.
So it is that weird kind of transition, like jumping off point, where it's like, well, I'm either going to go full bore into comedy and start making a living off of that, or I'm going to have to teeter in this half in, half out world.
Yeah, I remember Jeff Lawrence, shout out. Laughing Buddha. Do you know him?
No.
Anyway, I remember him saying that, where it's like, there is a point where you have to make that decision of like, quit the day job, but a lot of people won't do it. Yeah. Because of that fear financially, which if you have a girlfriend, so that's good. She can at least help you for a little. Yeah. If you're not, but I don't know. It's fucking tough, dude.
Well, it is one of those, because you're in a situation where you're dating another comic.
Yeah.
So you guys are kind of like, shout out.
Yeah, we're both going to be.
You guys are you're in this weird world where it's like, okay, which one of us is going to take the jump and which one of us is going to keep working the day job?
And she has like a good day job. Yeah. Where she makes good money, and I'm like barely scraping by right now.
Well, yeah. So, and that's what I've noticed too, is like, even though my girlfriend's not in the arts, like, she has a very steady, good day job. So it's like, well, I mean, you were doing all of this before we moved in together. Like, we're still in the same apartment. Yeah. So like, it is feasible that you can do it.
Yeah. Please.
She's like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Do you know who is? What's his name? Do you know Mike King?
No. Should I know Mike King?
He's just like he comes to Broadway Comedy Club. Okay. And he's a dentist, like full on dentist, but he's so funny, and he's someone who I'm like, I think his name's Mike. Whatever. He's like an older guy. I'm like, he made the decision, just gonna live happy, keep the day job, but also can still do comedy. Yeah. But I'm like, but there is that thing where I'm like, he knows all these well-known comedians. I'm like, maybe that did keep him. Yeah. But also he's now probably gonna retire soon, and has a comfortable life.
And he's already been doing comedy.
Yeah, and he's good.
So, like, if he wants to keep doing that, he can retire and just do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we've met a lot of people, especially at open mics, who are like, I just retired and I've always wanted to try this, so I'm going to start now. This guy's already like 1,000 steps ahead of that.
Yeah, right. Which maybe that is like the perfect way to go. Because we see comics, they'll come through Broadway who are like, they had a career, they're made late night, on late night, and now you're like, how are they doing financially? Like, I have no idea. Like, are they struggling?
I just talked about this on another podcast I was on, where there are comics. We were talking about like this whole idea of internet culture and like how like, well, if you like make it, you've made it. And it's like, that's not how it works. No. Because you can make it. I go back and think about 15, 20 years ago when I first got into like watching Comedy Central Presents and stuff. There's plenty of specials that I watch that I memorized front to back, and you don't see those people anywhere.
That makes me so sad.
And sometimes I'll be like, I wonder what it'll pop into my head, and I'll be like, I wonder what they're doing. And I'll look for them on Instagram, and they're still doing stand-up, but it's like, they're doing shows that we do.
And that's crazy, because I think of like, in our heads, we're like, if you get the comedy half-hour special,
that was what it was.
Your career is, you made it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then it amounts to something. Like, it'll help.
It's still a credit at the end of the day, but it is one of those things where it's timing, which we've seen firsthand with some of the people that we know that have blown up. It's all timing. Yeah. Like, not even like the, right time, right place kind of thing, like in the macro sense. I'm saying in a micro sense, it's timing. If you post a clip at the right time and it catches the algorithm, that could change your life. Yeah, right. I've had so many of my friends have clips go viral, and then they've reposted them like a year later, be like, the 1 year anniversary, the clip that changed my life, and it gets like 1,000 views. Right. And you're like, it was all like, you just happened to post at the right time, the right person happened to share it, and then boom, it like snowballed.
Well, and that Julian told me how it sends out the videos. It's like, it sends to like 100 people.
Yeah.
And then based on how that
Based on the,
then it sends to 500 people, which that's
based on the engagement, it'll keep sending it.
Right.
And it's
crazy.
weird because like sharing the post is worth more than liking the post.
Okay.
Because it takes more effort. So the algorithm, because I've talked to somebody about all this stuff. They're like, comments are only good if you can get a thread going. So like people going back and forth, which is why the rage mongering stuff works.
Yeah, right.
Like the hate mongering stuff works because you can get people arguing. And they were like, the other big thing is to make it relevant to to people, so then they share it with their friends. Which is why the front facing videos were doing so well. Because people were like, have you ever been in a situation, blah, 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 blah. And then other people were like, oh my God, this is so Cody. I'll send it to him.
Yeah, right.
And it's just hacking the algorithm, which is so frustrating because it's like, yeah, but my bits are pretty good.
Yeah. And
Do you guys see the comedy?
Yeah. Dude, also I feel like I've in my head thought of like, this is a bit I should write for Instagram for the sending.
I have
which
some of
that's
those,
probably like the worst thing ever.
You think that, but I have that bit about looking like a gym douche, but listening to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And I literally put giving Eminem truly a Swiftie. And I was like, I literally was like, this is a social media bit.
Yeah.
Because there's so many Swifties on social media. Hip hop has a big hold on social media. I was like, this bit is for social media. And it was. And it got like, I mean, for me, it was a lot. It was like 12,000 views.
Right.
And it got like, I got a bunch of followers from it and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, it's not even a bit I like.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If you like it, then I guess like even if it's like, there would have to be part of the bit that I do like in order to get to the point where it's working and it's funny and I would post it, but still in my head, the fact that I'm sitting there like, wait, this could be like a relatable idea with the ultimate goal of having people send it on Instagram is insane.
Yeah. I mean, I've had bits before, which I'm sure you have too, where people will come up to me after like a mic or something and be like, or comics will come up to me after a show and go, that's a sketch, man. And I'm like, I'm not a sketch guy. And they go, yeah, but that's a sketch.
Right.
Like you need to make that sketch. That's a viral sketch. And I'm like, but I'm a stand-up.
Yeah.
Like I don't do sketch. I don't do improv. Like I do stand-up. And it's like they're like so baffled because they're like, yeah, but don't you want this huge following?
Right.
From writing and filming and directing and editing a sketch? And I'm like, no.
No, they're not even like, and that's the thing is like right now it's like if you're not doing, no one's just posting clips of stand-up. They're like doing sketches. There's like all this other stuff you have to do, and I'm like,
sketches. It's crowd work.
Sketches is like a big thing. And I'm like, wait, but what if I don't like to do sketches?
What if I'm not any good at
and
doing
if you're
sketches?
not any good, and it's just a different muscle, then you have to set. If you have like other people, you have to schedule them, all that stuff. And I'm like, which if you enjoy it, it's fine. But then it's like, wait, I have to do this?
Well, because we know some people who have blown up from doing sketches, but they love doing the sketches.
Yeah, like my friend Kellen.
Yeah, Kellen, who's been on the show. We actually openly talked about it.
Yeah.
Because I was asking him about it because it was one of those things where, I just turned to turn on the AC and my belly came out. Clip it.
I wasn't
That's
looking.
Viral. That's viral right there.
That's the episode.
My belly.
Your belly. Also, I was saying, I don't think this is a very serious conversation we're having about Instagram.
Yeah. This is probably going to be boring for all the listeners.
I know. Fuck. Okay, no, but finish your point.
All right, we got to restart.
Yeah.
25 minutes in. Reset.
Yeah.
No, that happens a lot is sometimes I'll have people, especially because you've been on the show a bunch, so we've talked about like a lot of your craziest stories.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm like, let's just catch up. And then we go down a rabbit hole of like fucking comedy, the state of comedy.
Something that's like been bothering you, and then you're like, you open it up like, yeah, let's fucking talk about this bullshit.
And there's plenty of people who are on or listening right now, and they're like, nobody cares about your guys' trouble with Instagram.
Let's talk about the beers you drank.
So I wanted to talk to you about it because I refreshed my memory. Did you go through a spell where you quit drinking for a while? Because I know Maggie did. I know Tori did. I know we have Isaac, Andrew. A lot of people like in our sphere did.
Yeah.
You didn't go through that.
No, I
did.
did 2 months. I think like last time I saw you, last time I was on the podcast was like, it was like I just did like 2 months without drinking just to see.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Like once I hit like a few weeks, I was like, it was not hard. But I do like to party.
Yeah, so we were at a birthday party not too long ago for a good friend.
Got drunk, yeah.
And it's interesting because there's a couple of things. Being sober for so long, normally I have a pretty good tell about when people are drinking. But also in our environment, like doing stand-up, people can have a beer or two or get hammered if they wanted to, and we're all still doing the same job. So for me, my barometer to be like, oh, this person's a little drunk is a little off.
Right.
When it comes to comedians, because I don't know, maybe every time I see you've had a couple of White Claws and I just can't tell.
White Claws?
Like
what?
Shows.
Are you kidding? I love White Claw. I got like almost.
You're a big White Claw guy.
I got a big long bit about it.
Yeah, that's why
so
I
much
said
about
it.
White Claw. It's
I
crazy.
know.
Okay, yeah.
No laws when you're drinking White Claws, baby.
Is that a thing?
That's a thing.
I'll put it in my bit.
But we were at a birthday party, and it was so funny because I gave you a big hug when I saw you and Billy, and I was so excited to see you and Maggie as well. And we were all hanging out. And we probably had maybe a 30-minute conversation before it clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, I think Cody's drunk.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Because we were just talking about stuff, but you like there are like little signs,
Right.
like especially me being sober, I can tell. And then like literally, we were sitting there for a while, and then all of a sudden it clicked in my head. And I was like, wait, is Cody drunk right now?
Yeah. Because I usually don't drink before sets.
Yeah.
Although I did have I'll tell this story. This is a drinking story.
Yeah.
Maggie and I, my girlfriend, went drinking. She's gonna be mad at me that I told the story. Whatever. This will be more about me. We walked into a bar. We're like, let's have brunch here. Let's have a few drinks.
Yeah.
One drink became 3, so we're both kind of tipsy. We went to another bar. We both had spots later. So this is like a Sunday.
I love how you didn't have to include her in the story at all, but you keep being like,
I did.
So we.
Well,
You
okay.
just said I.
I know, but she comes back into play. Yeah,
comes around.
So we took the Uber. We took shots that we didn't remember. The only way we knew we took shots because is our checks.
Yeah.
We had like charges that were like, wait, these weren't drinks, whatever. So then
This is at the second bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we take an Uber from Greenpoint to the club, and I was going to one club. She was going to another. I leave, send her off in an Uber, and then her phone died. And she was supposed to show up at a different club, never showed up.
Oh,
She's
no.
fine now. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's gonna be so mad I'm telling the story. Whatever. She won't watch it. Anyway, She also did tell a story that we turned into a clip about her getting drunk and telling 4 different people she was pregnant. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that was a good one too. Anyway, her phone died and she was like drunk and like was going home, but I didn't know that. So I'm like panicking. And I'm trying to find her.
So she goes, does her set, and then goes to go home, and you're like freaking out.
Yeah. And so I'm like texting people like where she is. And I'm hosting, and I'm fucking hammered. Like the point where, and I've hosted a few times drunk, and where I'm like slurring, and I can hear myself slurring.
Oh no!
But I can't change it. I'm like, this is just it. And actually, I had like a good hosting set because when I host drunk, I think people I first of all don't care when stuff bombs.
Yeah.
And then people are just like in the vibe. It seems like it
and you're
works.
hosting. It's not, you're like,
so I don't like go
loose.
kill. I just have to like have fun. Anyway, so I'm hosting. First set gets good, and I get off stage, and I can't find her, and her phone location just shows her in like Astoria because her phone died.
Yeah.
You know, it like holds on the location. So I'm like panicking. I'm like, oh my God, where the fuck is she? And I knew she was drunk. So then I start panicking, and I start like crying. Which I don't really,
You're not a cry guy.
I'm not. And that's why it was all, because I was just like, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because also in my head, I was like, well,
She's dead.
I put her in an Uber, and now her phone's here, and she's not answering. And I'm like
Wrong
asking.
Uber driver.
Yeah, I was accusing an Uber driver. He was probably a nice guy, too. I don't think, whatever. I'm texting her roommate.
He took her.
That's what I thought, which is fucking insane. Her roommate, I text her, like, is she there? And she hadn't seen her yet. So that's why. So I called Billy.
So you were doing the boyfriend thing of like texting friends and family.
Yeah.
Like, where is she?
It wasn't even like anger.
Where is she?
Yeah.
Very
Batman
dark
mode.
night.
Yeah. But it wasn't like. It wasn't like I was
concerned,
mad.
yeah.
I was just like she's missing. I know she's drunk. I don't know.
And you're
what to
hammered,
do.
crying.
Yeah. So I'm like, I call Billy and I start crying. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And he's like trying to calm me down. But then I had to go up in between comics as a host.
Yeah.
So that was what made the thing crazy. Is I was like, had to like, okay, get it together. Okay, coming up, your next comic.
Are you just doing bang bang? Like,
Yeah, I'm not
you're
doing bits or
any
anything.
bits
No,
or anything?
and at Broadway, I usually am. I wasn't at Broadway, by the way. This is an unnamed club. I usually fuck. Can you cut everything?
Yeah.
Usually,
Let me check the time real quick. All right, keep going.
Anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter, whatever. But so I'm like, yeah, up in between comics, I probably look fucking so fucked up because I'm already.
Your
drunk.
eyes are all
My
red
eyes
and
are
puffy.
red, and then I get off.
You're
stage.
like the next comic coming to the stage.
Yeah, I think I even like can pose. I mean, I probably looked fucked up.
Yeah,
but it was. I'm sure they weren't like, is that guy crying? They're probably just like, what's that guy on? But I would like then get off stage and just go back into like panic mode, and I had to keep doing.
How
that.
long did that go on for?
It's like an hour and a half.
So her roommate did not see her for an hour and a half.
No, and she ended up like wandering. She got pizza.
Oh, so she got dropped off, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm hungry."
Yeah,
I'm
then
go
she
get
was
some
just like
food.
kind of cruising. It was a nice day out. But I
keep forgetting this is the middle of the day. This is
it wasn't like night.
This is 10 o'clock at night.
No, it was like a.
It's got to be like 7:38.
Yeah, it was like a
7 o'clock show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was like me. I did overreact, but also like Anna is drunk. So after that I took like. Actually, I read 2 books about quitting drinking after that.
Oh, really?
I embarrassed myself and it also was like in the room. I wasn't like in the downstairs where it's like the green room and you can kind of.
Oh, you're
hide.
in the red room.
We were upstairs, so everyone's on the stairwell, so everyone's watching me go through this shit.
Yeah, at this unnamed club.
At this unnamed club that I've never been drunk at Broadway ever, and so then I was so embarrassed.
Yeah,
and then she also wasn't happy with the thing because she was like, well, I didn't want to put you through that type of thing. So anyway, I read this book about not drinking. What's the main one where he's just like, just don't drink? You know what I'm talking about? Have you read any of?
No, so I've read one book about someone who got sober, and it was We Are the Luckiest. And it's basically, I read it because it's just someone's story about their drinking.
Yeah.
But I'm not really into, like, all the literature I read about being sober is like AA literature. It's like The Big Book, As Bill Sees It, 12 and 12, like that kind of stuff. I don't like get like self-help books about not drinking.
Yeah.
Like what I'm saying is like, I don't know that world.
Yeah. Well,
And don't think I haven't reached out to book agents and been like, we should sell my one-man show as one of those books.
Yeah.
But I don't know those.
Right. This one, I'm going to look it up because it's like a famous one.
But in the message is like, just don't do it.
Yeah, he's basically like, oh, alcohol's bad for you.
Yeah.
This is what it's actually doing. You can stop today. And he says in the book, he's like, drink up till the end of the book. But after this, you're never going to want to drink again. And it didn't work. I was like, I still love drinking.
Well, and it is an interesting thing. While you look it up, I'll wax poetic about this. It's an interesting thing because, like, I go to the gym 6 days a week for, like, between an hour and a half and 2 hours a day. And people are always like, wow, you don't drink. You go to the gym. You must have this awesome willpower, blah, blah, blah. But I speaking for me, am an alcoholic. So it's like willpower has nothing to do with my drinking.
Yeah.
Like, I was still going to the gym, like, at least 4 days a week when I was getting hammered every day. Like, right. I could do one, but not the other. Because for me, it's like, it's Frank the Tank in Old School. As soon as it hits my lips, I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah.
So,
and I have that in me a little bit.
Yeah. But, I mean, because we've talked about this before, where like you said, like, after this, you were like, all right, I'm going to stop for a while. Like, this is getting a little out of control.
I went a week and a half, but that was...
What's the name of the book?
Oh, it's called Alan Carr's Quit Drinking Without Willpower.
Okay.
He has a smoky one that a lot of people read, and then after that smoky one, he did the drinking one.
Yeah.
And part of it was annoying to me is he basically was like, oh, you can do AA, but AA makes you feel like you're deprived of something. And his whole thing is like, you're not deprived. You shouldn't even want to do it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, so you're discounting all of AA, which has helped to me.
Millions
I have
of
a lot
people.
of friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Friends.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because we say it all the time. There's no... Like, if someone can quit drinking without going to AA, literally the line in the book is, our hats are off to you. Yeah. Or if you can drink like a gentleman, like, good for you. It's not, I tell this to people all the time, because I've had plenty of people on the show who don't drink but don't do, like, any sort of program or anything. They were just like, I just quit drinking.
Yeah, I know.
And then to me, I'm like, okay, then we're talking about two different things.
Right.
Like, that's like someone going to the gym, seeing like how often I go to the gym, and they're like, yeah, I went a couple times, I was pretty sore, and I was like, oh, it's just not for me. It's like, okay, well then we're not even in the same sport.
Yeah,
we're not even talking about
right.
the same thing.
Yeah, alcohol is like, everyone reacts differently.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I also read a second book.
What was the second one?
This one I was mad about.
For those of you listening, every time we bring up a book, Cody immediately looks down at his phone.
Because this one made me mad because was a student of the first guy's book.
Yeah.
But she like wanted like a more modern version of it. Let me look it up. And at the beginning of the book, I read it because I'm like, I don't need to quit. I don't feel like I need to quit. I just want to moderate.
I was going to say, let's do a deeper dive on this. You're reading, because you have this incident, you start reading this literature, and are you in your head thinking at any point like, oh, am I an alcoholic? Or are you just like, I know I don't, because you know alcoholics.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
just mentioned. You have plenty of friends, me included, where it's like, I tell you some of my stories, and you're like, that's fucking nuts,
Yeah,
dude.
right.
So at any point were you thinking like, oh, maybe I have a problem?
I mean, I always can kind of, that's always in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Like maybe, and I have like my grandfather was like an alcoholic, and I can tell a lot of my family, we just like to drink.
Yeah.
And like once we drink, it's hard to say stop.
Yeah.
Which those are like telltale signs, I think maybe. But what I thought with this book is like, if this guy can write a book and get me to quit drinking, then surely I can find tools that would get me to moderate better.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that, apparently to him, that's not
a
you have
thing,
to be
yeah.
all or nothing.
Yeah.
Same with the next lady. But so that's why I kind of was like, well, I'll just try it.
Yeah.
And a friend recommended. I was like, I'll see if give it a go. And that one I was like, I was just like, oh, I don't think this is for me. So I'm gonna try this other woman.
What was the name of the other one?
I'm gonna come more prepared next time. I swear.
No, I didn't even know we were going to talk about this. This is the thing. I was telling Cody before the show started. Now I'm talking to the listeners. We, when I have guests on that have been on like more than 2 or 3 times, I'm kind of like, well, let's just find because all the cool, like not cool, but all the crazy stories have kind of been told.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's like, well, let's just find something and kind of like deep dive on that. Which I wasn't even expecting to talk about this, but you kind of came more prepared than you thought.
I know.
Or we would have just been rambling about Instagram and stand up for an hour.
Right. You're kind of like a therapist in a way.
Nah, I like this because, and again, the listeners know this, you know this, but like just in general, like the show was born out of like, I'd be like, yeah, one time I was so drunk that I put my head through a guy's car window because he was flirting with my sister.
Right.
And people go, oh, that's so crazy. One time I was so drunk I fell down the stairs. And I go, oh, that's what the show is. So I've had people like comment before, like it's like a therapy session, and not in a negative, like not derogatory, almost like in an appreciative way. But I never meant for it to be like that.
Yeah. That's cool though.
Originally it was just like, well, you got. I mean, shit. The name of your last episode was like, let's talk about last night or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Because it was literally the day after you had your annual Molly trip or mushroom trip. What do you guys do? Molly.
We did like a group Molly outing, which we did that the first time. There was like.
You came the second time you did it, and I was like, oh, is this going to be like an annual thing?
Yeah. Well, the first time it was like, I think there was a group of like 10 of us. A bunch of people hadn't done Molly. I kind of was like the shaman. I don't even do it that much.
Well, and you
but
got everything. You got like all the B vitamins.
And we do vitamins
to
the whole thing. And everyone like had a great time. And then the second time it was like half the comics were like, oh, I don't want to do that. And then by the third, I'm like the last man standing. I was like, especially it's annoying because everyone loved it.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is great. And then by the second time, they're like, I'm not so sure. And now no one wants to do it. I'm like, wait, is something wrong with me that I love it so much? I don't know. Yeah, I do have fun with it. But there's, anyway, I got the name of the book. It's called The Naked Mind.
Okay.
Control Alcohol. And I'll tell you why this book bothered me. Because in the beginning, she's like, this is what's going to happen in the book. I'm going to talk you through it, like the effects of alcohol.
Yeah, like a little preamble, yeah.
Yeah, and then she's like, and by the end, you're either going to want to quit or you're going to want to moderate. It's kind of your choice.
And you were like, oh, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
This is exactly what I want. And literally by the end, she's going, why the hell would you ever want to drink again? It's poison. Like, basically calling you like an idiot for even thinking moderation is a way out.
Bait and switch. She bait and switched.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, I was fucking like, by the end, I was like, hate reading it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, she's just being so condescending, which maybe that's like a personal thing, but the other guy's book didn't do that to me. The other guy was just like, yeah, that's just maybe a
What's the big difference?
A woman wrote it.
It was written by a lady.
Fucking nagging me. No, I'm kidding. No, she's great. I just was like annoyed. I almost like wrote an Amazon book review.
Oh my God.
I was just like, why are you talking to me like I'm a fucking idiot? Anyway, I
actually have some books like that. Hang on, I want to write this down about the annual Molly retreat that is now just you.
Yeah, no one shows up.
Rick Rubin's book was like that for me because I like Rick Rubin, the producer.
Yeah,
I think
he's
like,
out there, right?
Yeah, I see a lot of his clips, and I'm like, yeah, this guy, like, I love what he talks about. And him and Stephen Pressfield was another one who wrote the book The War of Art, which is like means a lot to me. I've read that book 3 or 4 times. I love that book because that one is basically about like nothing is gonna just happen. It's almost like an antithesis to that book, The Secret, where it's like, will it into existence and think about it and put it in the universe,
right.
and then things will happen, which I don't discount, but I also don't like fully buy into.
Yeah.
Like Stephen Pressfield's book is really like, you got to do the fucking work. Like you can't just will it into existence.
Yeah.
Like you have to do the work.
What's that one called? The Art of War?
The War of Art.
War of Art.
And
okay.
so I thought Rick Rubin's book, it's called like The Creative or something like, I got it on the shelf over there, but I thought it was going to be like that too, where it was like more like, you know, being a creative is difficult. A lot of people don't understand it from the outside, but like this is the stuff to keep you going. Disciplined. Because there is a big difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation will only get you so far. It's the discipline of doing it every day that will keep you doing it, which is us with comedy.
Yeah, right.
Like you might not even think about it, but you're like, this is what I do on Wednesdays. I go to these mics, I hit these shows. This is what I do on Thursday. I go to these mics, I hit these shows. Like it's discipline. And the first chapter of the book, he's like, everyone's a creative. And I'm already like, nope.
Right.
Nope. He's like, if you take a different route to work to avoid traffic, you are creating a different way of life. And I immediately, instead of hate reading it, I was just like 10 pages in, I was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm like, no, there's so many people I meet and they're not creatives.
And that's okay, too.
Yeah, it's okay, but it's like, just because you go to the gym at a different time during the day does not put you in the same realm as someone who's sacrificed so much in their life to pursue something in the arts or in creativity.
Right. So you don't even know what else.
I don't even, and I actually told this to other people and they're like, you're a fucking moron. Like you should finish the book.
That's
like,
right.
They're like, that's the first chapter. Like there's a lot of good stuff in that book, like later on. And
yeah,
I was like, no.
But that's the thing is like, I'm not going to spend all this time reading this book if I know that I'm already like not fucking with it.
Which
that is fine too.
Thing.
Like that's you made the choice to say that and you can disagree.
Yeah.
But
it is a weird thing because we have so many regular people in our lives and it's just, I don't know if you go through this. Does your family or friends or like anybody close to you that isn't around comedy, do they still do are you still doing that thing?
Not yet, but I could see that.
Yeah. Cause it's funny cause I get that my immediate family, like my nuclear family are like, they're down for it. One, because it doesn't matter. Like, and they understand that. Like, it's not like my dad is helping me with bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's kind of like, well, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. But as you extend further out to different people, it's very much like, well, what's your plan B? Or like, what are you going to do instead of that if that doesn't work out?
Right.
And my answer is always the same. It's like, well, I make enough money at the restaurant to where even if I wasn't doing stand-up and just living my life, I could still work the same 4 days a week and cover my bills. So it's like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I feel like that generation, like my parents will sometimes, they're just so concerned about the future, like with the security of and insurance and all that, which is fair.
Yeah.
But I feel like pursuing comedy, my dad did once was like, do you have like a plan if it doesn't work out? Which is fair. That's a fair question. In my head, I'm like, well, right now I'm 34. I'm like, if I'm 40 and it's not looking, then maybe I'll take a career switch. Well, and
it is a weird thing because neither of us in this room or anybody listening knows what that looks like working out.
Oh, with comedy.
Yeah. Because like I've said that before, but now like literally I flew into Charlotte. I was able to stay at a hotel. I did a one-nighter at a really like nice club, and then I flew back, and I got paid for it. And so it's like, well, is it not working out, or is this working out?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because
right.
It's like, I still flew back, and the next day took a nap, and then went to the gym, took a nap, and then went straight into work on Monday. So it's like, am I doing it? Am I not doing it?
Right.
Like, what does that even fucking look like?
I know. Yeah, and I don't. And then it's like working. I also like sometimes I think about with like comedy is like you don't know if you might hate the road.
Yeah,
the road might be the worst, and you kind of have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, part of me is like, but until you try it, you're not gonna know whether you like it or not.
Have you done the road? Like a lot? Like
no,
outside
not
of
a
the
lot.
city?
I've done like 3 gigs,
okay.
But none of like. I know Billy did one where they drove like 13 hours.
What?
It was like the first night was like 6 hours. Next
Yeah.
night was 7. On the way back was 13. and they didn't get paid that much, and he was like, this is like, he seemed like he was kind of like, this is the road, like this is brutal.
Yeah.
Which I think if you're doing like 2 hours, you do a good spot, it's different. But like that, to me, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound fun.
No.
Especially if it's like, if you're going to a full room in like a club, but some of these shows sound like there was like 10 people in a brewery.
You could have done that in New York.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go anywhere for that.
Right. And that is also the thing where it's like, is these like road gigs where you're doing 25 minutes for 10 people, is that better than doing a 5-minute check spot in New York? Probably, but at the same time, like all the energy and time spent going there, I don't know. Like no one has the answer though.
The big thing I love, because now we did 4 cities in like 6 days or 7 days. Yeah. And the coolest thing about it was I realized that I like the road.
Yeah.
Like I like being in different, because obviously history was what I studied in college, and like I like going to like Charlotte, and I like will walk around and look at the different sculptures. And I went to a museum, and I'm like learning about the people, and like to me I find that fascinating.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is one of the reasons I love podcasting. Like I like stories.
Right.
Like I like hearing about how people get to where they are and what different roads that they took, and I was supposed to do this and then I ended up doing that. Like I do comedy in New York City. I was a Division I athlete who was pre-law. Like how you get from that to that is like, so everyone has that story. It doesn't matter if it's on a grand scale or a smaller scale. Everyone has that story.
Right.
Like I was going to do this, and then these 3 things happened, and now I do that. And I find that fascinating. So I found the road like super intoxicating, because I was like, all these different people with all these different stories. And like, the only downside is when you have a bad set on the road, which I did.
Okay.
The second night we were in a specific city, I won't say where. A couple of the table, there wasn't a ton of people. It was like 30 people, and probably half of them were pretty wasted. And as soon as I got on stage and I was like, "Hey, my name is Brennan Tassif," someone went, "Not funny," and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be rough."
Yeah.
And in that moment, we were talking about this earlier about, have you ever thought about like legitimately quitting? In that moment, I was like, you're on stage and you're kind of robotic doing your set, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you could be at the restaurant right now working a $500 shift.
Yeah, right.
Instead, you just got told by some drunk dude, and I can't do it. It's not my show. I'm featuring. Like if it was a showcase, or if I was the headliner, I'd be like, I'd put the mic back in the mic stand and be like, "You want to go outside and settle this right now?"
Yeah.
Like
Shut the fuck up.
Goodwill Hunting style. Like if you really got a problem, we could just go outside and sort this whole thing out.
Yeah.
But I was just like frozen with, the fuck am I doing?
Especially with you're doing 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's the open. You're like, this is gonna be the longest. That's horrible.
I actually ran out the first 2 nights on the tour. I didn't even look at my joke book. Like I was just like cruising.
Yeah.
When like one joke feeds into another, and you're like, and like someone will shout something, and you're like, oh, that actually reminds me of this bit. So then you'll
it's
you'll
organic.
Like, and then that one, I was like, oh, I haven't had to look at my notebook this whole time. So I put it in my back pocket. 12 minutes into the set, I had to pull it out.
All right.
And I'm just like, looking at it. Jury duty. Hey, you guys ever had jury duty?
Yeah. I had a set like that the other night where they were basically like, get on and go till the show ends. And I kind of knew that, but then I'm like, I just couldn't I had to pull out my notes, because I wasn't prepared to do. I did end up doing 13 minutes. Not even that long, but I wasn't prepared for it. But I pulled out my notes and I had to look at my phone, but it wasn't. You're like, it doesn't register the words.
Yeah.
So then you're like, well, this is pointless. This isn't helping me, even though you're looked at these words.
Because a lot of our stuff is like 2 words to describe a 3-minute set or a 3-minute bit.
Yeah.
And so you just look at it and you're like, White Claw? What is fucking White Claw?
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. It's so weird. I'm like, why? How do you not know this joke?
Why is this escaping me when I need it the most?
Sometimes I'm like, I just need to take a breath. But that feels horrible on stage if you're like, guys, give me a second.
Yeah.
But that would help if I'm like, give me a second. Because most audience do give you time too. That
is something that the people I went on the road with were very helpful with some advice, because that was the show where they they were very open about, okay, so obviously it was a hostile room, so these are some things you could do, because I'll say I don't know a lot on stage. Like if I start to panic, I'll be like, I don't know. While I'm thinking, I'll just, because I don't want there to be dead air, I'll just keep saying I don't know out loud. They're like, stop saying that.
Fair.
They were find something. They're like, you can say something like while you're thinking, but like just figure something else out to say.
Yeah.
Like Mark Norman will look through his joke book and be like, I'm not cheating. These are just swastikas that I wrote down. Or like Dusty Slay has the, we're having a good time. We're having a good time.
That's
like
a good one.
Everyone has like kind of like sometimes it turns into a catchphrase, but everyone has like a go-to, like to like kind of take the emphasis off of I'm panicking right now to figure out what I'm going to say next. And mine's I don't know, which is the worst thing it could be.
Yeah, I kind of I don't even know. I did that last night where it started out great, and then literally minute 7, they just stopped fucking with me and silence on the jokes. And I do this thing where I go like, where people just start feeling bad for me, which is the fucking worst because I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, and I wasn't even panicking or anything. I forget what I say, but it's a bad habit where audiences are like, oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is just what I say when I'm bombing.
That's me with I don't know. When I'm bombing, it's a lot of I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, you do know. Like, throw something else in there. Anything else. Or just don't say anything.
Yeah, that's good. And sometimes that's better because it gives you audiences like, well, he's fine. Like, if you're not, or he's like comfortable with
that's what I was
going to
say. They're kind of like, oh, I wonder what he's about to, like, he's really thinking about this next thing. I wonder what he's going to say.
Yeah. And then they hate it, and you're like, wow. That dude, that sucks.
Yeah, but I've to your point earlier, I discovered that I really enjoyed the road because I was like, oh, this is fun. Like going to different cities, exploring different places, and then like all the other shows were fucking awesome. Yeah, like they were great. Like we did a show, and I talked about this last week on this show, but have you ever performed for like family? Like, do your parents like come to visit you in New York and come to shows and stuff?
Yeah, they've seen me a few times. And in December, there was a Don't Tell comedy in my hometown. My dad actually, he used to be a teacher, but now he's retired. Now he works at a tap room. Okay. For a few days a week, and they did it in his tap room.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like all my family came, and
Don't Tell's a big deal too. That's like Don't Tell is like the Comedy Central presents.
Yeah, it is a big.
Like
thing
if you can get the New York spot where they film it, like that's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's awesome. But it went well. It went well, okay. But I was like definitely going fast.
Nervous, a little nervous?
Yeah, I was for sure nervous. And there was like, it was weird 'cause I swear one side of the room was like, where I'm from is kind of like right leaning.
Yeah.
Or like kind of.
Where are you from?
Hicks, San Luis Obispo,
California.
Oh,
you did tell us this. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but half the room was like very liberal and the other half was very conservative. Like it literally felt like 2 to 5.
Listen here, Cody. We got to do it.
That's right. And so I'm like trying to figure out who likes what joke. And the one thing they all loved was my grandma's in the crowd. And I was making fun of her. And I was like, oh, she doesn't remember. She's not going to remember any of this. She has dementia. And they're like dying laughing. And my grandma was just like, she was laughing, but I felt bad.
She had dementia?
No. Oh. That's why it's like, okay. But she's still like getting older.
Yeah.
And her memory's not that good. So I'm like, oh. But because the crowd liked it, I just like was like, kept going in on her. Yeah. And she like she loved it. She's like very supportive. But part of me was like, oh, this sucks that I have to do this to my grandma right now.
Yeah, I had and we went to Cambridge. The first show for the run was in Cambridge, and my girlfriend is from just outside of Boston. So she told her parents about it, and they were like, oh, we want to come. And I was like, all right, cool. And then they invited 6 other couples, and then another just random friend.
Yeah.
So they brought 13 people. And then my girlfriend brought like 4 of her high school friends. So the room had like probably 50, 60 people in it, and 25 of them are all people that either are related to or know my girlfriend.
Yeah, right.
And like we're pretty serious. Like we live together. We're probably going to end up being together, like that whole thing. So it was very much like if this goes poorly, Thanksgiving is going to suck forever.
Right.
Because it's going to be a lot of, are you still doing that thing?
100%.
I was so scared. And then I crushed. And then it was just all like, it was very... what's the word I'm looking for? It was very not liberating, but very like it reinforced the fact that it was like, oh no, Brennan's a comedian.
Yeah, I do this.
Yeah. Because it was because I've had sets where family have come and it's gone the other way.
Oh, for sure.
Like when I first got back into stand-up, my dad came to a show with my stepmom. And at the end of it, I remember he said, you're really good with like stage presence and moving around. Now you just need to find someone to write you some jokes because the material obviously wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And I was brand new back. Like I had taken a few years off and I was just getting back into it. It was like, I was like 2 months back into it and they came to a show.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
That is the worst. When at least, it's almost better he said something because the worst no, I don't know if it's worse, but I hate when someone sees me, I don't do well, and they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And they're just like this awkward thing, and I'm like, just tell. I know it's bad.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I'm very aware of what just happened.
I mean, I know it's awkward for them because they don't know what to fucking say.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, just fucking.
I've
tell
had it
me.
before where I think this happened with you guys, with the Hell Yeah show. Because you guys put me on a Hell Yeah when I was only like a few months into moving to New York.
Oh, yeah.
And we had only ever seen each other at the mics. We were doing the mic at, I think it was Cellar 66 or whatever. 77. You were hosting that mic for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's how we met.
That's how we met. And then I remember you put me on the Hell Yeah show, and I was on it with Ian Laura, and I got Ian Laura to come on the podcast because I was so new to New York. I was like, come on my podcast and we'll like promote the show and like talk about that.
Yeah.
Not knowing that these, especially more established comedians, do like 1,000 of these produced shows every single night. Like they're like,
oh, we're trying to promote our show?
yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Dude, I was like so excited because it was the second. I remember Jill Kimmel got me a spot at Broadway like a month into living in New York. And then I was doing Hell Yeah, which was like a month after that. So I was like, I've been in New York for 2 months and I've already done I've already been booked on 2 shows.
Yeah.
I was like, comedy's going to be easy up here.
Right.
But I remember we only knew each other from the mics.
Yeah.
So when you put me on the show, I remember I brought a bunch of people and I was so excited. Yeah. And I did pretty well. And I remember after the show, you guys all almost in a stunned look. You were like, that was good, man. That was really good. And I was like, thanks. Like,
wait. Oh, I don't remember that.
In my head, well, it was burned into my memory because in my head, I was like, well, yeah, you guys see me at mics. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
bringing out like A-game material at mics because I've been doing it for a while. And so
That's funny.
it is a nice thing where you do a show and almost people come up to you almost unsuspectingly like, that was really good.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, thanks.
Right.
I would hope so.
That is the thing of mics where like, I feel like once you're more established, bombing at mics, you don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But then you realize you're like, oh, a lot of these people probably don't realize that I do well.
Yeah.
At shows.
And they all book their own show.
Yeah.
So maybe
right.
I should.
So, right.
I've had it happen. That was the first time. I've had it happen 3 or 4 times. It happened with the Village Idiot guys. It happened with New Kids Comedy guy. Like, it's like every time someone books me, because they're, we're all friends. So they're like, yeah, of course, come on the show. And then I'll bring some people because Tracy is always like putting out texts like, hey, Brennan's got a show at this place. Like, everyone should come.
That's great.
So at least 3 or 4 people show up. And then I normally do pretty well. And then always, they're always like, man, you did really, almost surprised. Like, you did really good. And it's like,
Right. You're like, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Why do you think I moved to New York?
That's fucked up. Damn.
But it is very heartwarming to be like, like that acceptance of your peers. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that, which is so important, even though it shouldn't be that. I mean, to get booked and stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like the idea of hack is like, at the end of the day, you're going what the audience thinks is funny.
Yeah.
Is what's important. Sometimes I think I worry about like, do other comics like this joke? And at the end of the day, that really doesn't matter.
No, and that's a big problem that I have too. Is I should give a shit what other comics think about me.
Right.
As long as I could sell tickets and move tickets for shows. But I can't. I can't not
Same.
search out and seek the respect of my peers.
Yeah. 100%.
Like,
I'm saying like I shouldn't, but it's important.
I can't not. Like, I have friends of mine that will remain nameless who like tour the country, but they've never like watched a full set of mine. And that's still like, when I run into them, we'll talk, we'll catch up. And in my head, I'm like, they don't think I'm funny.
Yeah.
And it's like crippling because it's like, we're friends. Like, but in my head, I'm like, and then that again is so narcissistic to be like, they're always thinking about me. It's like they probably never watched my set because they're not thinking about it.
Yeah, right.
But in my head, I'm like, oh, they think I'm not funny.
Yeah, that stinks. Yeah, that's depressing.
Yeah, I don't know, but
That one's that's hard to like, when the people you are around don't think you're funny. That's
and I don't think that's the case. Because we're around a lot of people who tour and stuff, and there's just a part of me where it's like, why wouldn't they have asked me to open for them? And it's like, oh, because we talk like once every month. Like when we see each other at a show, it's like we're not besties.
Yeah, right.
Like we're not going out to dinner and stuff.
And for those shows, it's literally one person.
Yeah.
They're usually opening. So it's like you probably dealing, and it's probably their best friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they're trying to bring someone who's like different type of comedy. Mm-hmm. So there's like all these like non-personal factors.
But in my head, I'm like, they hate me.
Right.
They hate me.
Sure. That stinks.
Dude, What else has been going on? We got a little bit more time.
Yeah. Let me look at my notes.
Are you? Did you really write notes for this?
Yeah, I wrote just a few things. Oh, do you know who came in last night? Jeff Garland. You know him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he walked into Broadway and was like, can I do a spot?
Well, yeah, let's take us through this. What happened? You were hosting?
Yeah, I was hosting. But it's funny, he came in to Broadway and he's like, I'm a comic, can I do a spot? Which people do all the time, and they're fucking batshit crazy people. Yeah. Where they're like, how do I get up? Can I go up tonight? And you're like, dude, do you really think you just walk in? Anyway, but... So,
wait, I'm sorry. I want to pivot to this a little bit. You'll have random people... like who are visiting New York or like just moved to New York who have done a couple of open mics and they're like, yeah, how do I get on? Can I get on this show?
Yeah. It happens a lot.
No way.
Yeah. They just like I don't know if they're walking by or they look it up. They just don't have any idea the system.
Yeah.
And so they'll come in and I've seen it happen probably 3 or 4 times.
Really?
Yeah.
This blows my mind.
Yeah. It's like,
cause I'm bad with boundaries, but never would I think I would just show up. But it's
never like a normal person. It's always someone who you're like, something's a little off.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll like ask. So then the manager.
I've actually seen it at the stand before for Frantic.
Oh really?
Now that you're bringing it up, I have seen people be like, "Hey, Joe," who's one of the managers there, like, "I was the guy who was DMing you on Instagram. Like, I'm visiting from Canada. Can I get a spot?"
It's insane.
And he's like, "No."
Right. But sometimes though, I mean, but there's like
sometimes they will put them up.
That's why it's crazy. Because but it's usually like an email and they actually do comedy.
Yeah.
It's still the fact that they just like come in and get up. I'm like, this is crazy. So anyway, because that happens, the manager almost said to Jeff Garland like, "Yo, you're funny," or like tried to almost was like sassy.
Yeah.
But luckily, someone else was there to be like, "Oh,
what's up?
He's legit.
Curb your enthusiasm."
Yeah, he's huge. So he came downstairs and like, he went up. I think he did 10 minutes. Ran the light by 5, celebrity shit. But do you know what fucking sucks is twice I was hosting and like celebrity comics came in or like kind of famous.
Yeah.
The one Donnell Rawlings, you know him?
Where was this at Greenwich?
That was at Greenwich.
No, you haven't told me this story, but tell the audience because I've heard this story.
I hate that guy, but
This actually has to do with drinking too.
With him.
So I've heard. Yes.
Well, he came in. I guess he was walking by. The kid seating was like, "Hey, come, we'll give you a spot." And he was like, "Okay." So he comes in, and the booker was in the room, but I guess didn't want to like interact with him. So he's giving me all the messages as the host to like talk to him, like how long you want to do. We'll get you up next. We'll give you this. Blah blah blah. And so I go to the guy. I'm like, "Hey, you're gonna go next." He's like, "I need a drink."
You go to Donnell.
Yeah. He's like, "Where's my drink?" He's like, "I need a drink." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not the server. I'll tell him to come by." And like a few minutes later, I go by. I'm like, "I'm gonna light him. You ready?" And he's like, "Where's my drink?" And so I was like, let me grab the server. But he like basically was like telling me he's not gonna go up without a drink.
Yeah.
So he gets his drink, and I was like so nervous. And this is what I was getting at is like the frantic energy everyone has when a celebrity comes in. It's only happened twice, but it's so fucking hard to be around for me because I'm like, yeah, it's someone famous. Not that I don't get like what to call them, starstruck, but I would just keep my cool.
Yeah.
But everyone just like fucking panicking, like, oh my god.
So is everyone at Broadway like panicking? Like
yeah.
the other comics and the booker and stuff.
Yeah, and the manager. So this was at
or at Greenwich.
At Greenwich. So this was at Greenwich with Donnell Rawlings. Anyway, so everyone's panicking. So I'm like, I didn't know his name until that moment. Like I didn't know who he was. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna ask him a credit. He's been Chappelle's show. He's been in Comedy Central. I'll just say that. I'll bring him up. So I go up. I'm like, next comic, and I say that, and he gets up. He's like, I haven't been on the Chappelle show for 15 fucking years, or Comedy Central. And then he just like made fun of me for like literally like, probably a minute or two.
Wow.
Which was fine. And I'm like, whatever, that's deserved.
That happens, yeah.
And it happens. And the crowd was laughing, so I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, I've actually, on that point, I have gone after hosts, comics before me. If it's like almost like lighthearted, like, and the audience is laughing, like I've gone up after Maggie when she talked about like not drinking and being sober for a little while. I've gone up and been like, yeah, I'm sober, but I'm real sober, not like Maggie sober. Like,
right.
You'll take digs at certain comics and stuff. So like that we can understand.
Yeah. And you could tell though he was like a little annoyed, but it was like the audience was still laughing.
Yeah.
So whatever. 10 minutes, we light him, leave the light on. The light does like brighten the room at Greenwich, but he goes...
Not anymore. They got a new light.
Yeah, they did. So it's a little better.
But the
It's still
old
kinda
light,
bad.
you'd flick it. And for those of you listening or even watching, it was one of those lights that was like a stand light, but it had like the multiple things coming out of it.
Yeah, and it's red.
And there was a red bulb in there. So it was this big light fixture. And then you'd flick it, and there was one super bright red bulb in there that would like light up
Yeah,
the
yeah.
back of the room.
Which is, yeah, it's not a good look. Anyway, but so it's on, and
But people see it. Because
Oh,
I've been at
everyone
clubs
sees
before
it.
where you miss the light, and then all of a sudden you catch it and you go, how fucking long has that been on?
yeah.
The downstairs room at the stand, I've done that.
But this, do you know what's weird about the Greenwich one? It's almost so bright sometimes, or used to be, that they don't even think it's a light.
Yeah.
I've seen people like run it because they just think, oh, I must have missed this.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make
Yeah,
sense, but
I understand
while
what
you're
you're
on stage,
saying.
it happens.
The
Anyway,
main
so,
room at the stand is just that little light at the top.
is it like right above the stage?
So like the stage is here, and then you look out, and there's the audience, and probably like 3 or 4 rows back, straight up, there's like a ledge in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And the light is like attached to that, but
Okay.
it's literally one bulb that like has a case over it, and it goes on. And when you're in the audience and you're a comic, you can always see when it comes on because like that part of the audience like lights up
Yeah,
red a
right,
little
right.
bit. So I'm always like, how could they miss the light? And then being on that stage, looking out at 140 people, and it comes on, I've missed it before and been like, fuck. How long has that been on? How long
right.
has that been on?
Which is the worst feeling. But
So he's running the light.
so well, the light goes on, and it's on for like a minute, and he goes, "Yo, I see the light. You can," and I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Turn it off," and so I've turned it off,
Immediately.
and then he ran it for another 5 minutes, and he gets off stage, and he like ends the set and goes. I go to shake his hand as the host does. He looks at my hand and then fucking walks off. Doesn't even shake my hand.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I was like livid, and I didn't obviously didn't say anything, but he like.
Oh, I would have been like, give it up for the guy who hasn't had a credit in 15 years.
That's what I looking. I mean, I would still never do that, but I've like done that where I'm like in the shower, been like, oh, if I said this, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's known as like being kind of a dickhead.
Yeah,
and that.
he's
he
an
like
asshole.
walked off, killed Tony or whatever. But I guess he stormed out of the club and said to the guy who gave him the spot, who was seating, like, oh, it's fucking bullshit club, whatever. So that happened, and I was
You
like,
came in.
no, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, how many times does Chris Rock walk by people who are barking and they don't realize it's him and be like, hey, comedy show, and he just keeps walking?
Yeah, right.
Like, you could have just kept walking.
Yeah, and if you're still in our club, you're bumping people, other comics who do this every night. This is important to them, and that this
Yeah, their
spot's not
best friend
important
isn't
to
one of
them.
the most famous comedians in the world.
right.
Like,
So he just wanted like the star treatment, but I'm also like, look at this club's not like a
it's not a star treatment.
no, it's just like
It's a
basement
kill
comedy
box,
club.
yeah.
It's fun. Like just go up there, do your spot, and also that same energy of like everyone panicking because of celebrity here. That kind of happened last night
With Jeff?
and it wasn't a big deal. Like he's a nice dude.
Yeah.
And
What's the difference there?
Because he's black. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, whoa, Cody, you said it.
Yeah, that's no. I'm okay. Cut that. Yeah, so
I was gonna leave it up to the imagination.
yeah. I say it how it is, you know. So anyway, his was like uneventful, but it was.
But he actually did the set. Did he respect? He respected the light.
yeah,
was just kinda like, "Thank
he
you."
ran a little, but he was like nice about it.
Well, and there's other things too that we don't realize. Like when you do some of those bigger clubs, like when I was in Charlotte at the Comedy Zone, the guy literally comes up and he goes, "I'm gonna," because I was doing 25. He goes, "I'm gonna light you at 20," which is like 5 minutes. You see what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things where like not everyone knows it's a 1 minute light.
Oh, right.
Because they'll see the light and be like, "Oh, I've got 5 minutes left."
And also, though, I also don't. It wasn't like exactly clear how long he was gonna do, because the manager was like, "Give him 10, see what he says." And so she went in there and said it, and then we left her, and she was like, did he respond to doing 10? I'm like, that was you asked. I wasn't even in the room at that moment. So then we were kind of like, we'll light him at 10, and we kind of knew.
Yeah.
But he was totally cool. So
When
it
I
wasn't a big
run
deal.
shows, and I'm sure you have this experience with Hell Yeah, but when I run shows, I'm very like stringent about it. And it's easier because it's not like these huge famous people.
Yeah.
Like when I run shows, I'm very much like, hey, so-and-so, you're going to do 20. You're good with 20? You're going to do 20. I'm going to light you at 18. And they're like, okay, yeah, cool.
Right.
Or if they go, I was hoping to do 25. It's like, okay, then I'm going to light you at 23. You're doing 25. Hey, so-and-so, you're now doing 8 instead of 12.
Right.
But I'm very like, you got to be clear, because a lot of times that will happen where you're like, I said 15, but he just kind of looked at me and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, or they don't. I was hosting the other day and like Drew Dunn.
Yeah.
Is so funny.
He's super funny.
And he was like full committed to the like, I forget what bit he's doing, but he's like in character and I lit him and I couldn't tell if he saw it. And he did. He's like so good. He just didn't break character.
Yeah.
But then, and he got off in time. But in my head, I was like, didn't know to light him again. And especially like an established comic, I don't want to sit there like annoying.
Hey!
Yeah. And so I was like, me and the producer were like, let's just wait. We'll see if he gets off. And
Let's give him the 2 minutes and see where we end up.
And then he did. He got off. But I was like, the fact that I didn't know you saw it was like so stressful. But the light running drives me crazy.
I can't stand running the light, and I can't. But I'm also both ways. I can't stand running the light, but I also can't stand people who get off before their time is done.
Yeah.
Like if you say you're gonna do 8 minutes, you got to do between like 7 and 9. Like don't get off at 5.
Yeah.
Because now you're fucking the whole show up.
Right. And my big thing is like at Broadway, there's like a lot of new comics coming to spots, and sometimes I'll get off before I light them. And that's like a bit. And
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then you're panicked, like sprinting up from the back of the room.
Which now I like know where I'm like, okay, this guy's, you can tell he's nervous.
Yeah.
So I'll like be in the room. But then I after that to talk to them and be like, listen, I don't care. It's not a big deal, but you make sure you do your time because some clubs you'll never perform there again.
Because they're paying you to do the time.
Yeah.
Like obviously not at some of the spots, like the residency spots, but like eventually once you become more established, you're not getting paid for your jokes. You're getting paid to fill the time.
Right.
So it's like, do the time.
Yeah.
Which when we start doing longer sets, like the sets I was doing, it was very much like I said, 12 minutes in, I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, I really want to get off right now, but I'm being paid. Like not a little amount. Like I need to keep like it was $100. It's like, I'm not going to not do this.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm like, if I know I'm going to do like a longer set and the crowd's not great, I'm like, instead of, we're doing 15, I'm like 2 minute light, I can get off at just past 13.
Yeah, I do that too.
And no one's like upset about it.
I go, give me a 5 minute light. And then as soon as I see the light, I'll start a bit because my bits are longer. And then I'll be like, that's 23 minutes. I'm good. That's 21 minutes. I'm good.
As long as you hit the light, I'm like,
as long as you get to the light.
Yeah.
Dude, this was a blast, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Plug
you.
everything one more time.
Cody Lewis Comedy on Instagram. That's it. Our show's on hiatus. And
are you bringing it back ever?
Yeah, we're gonna next few months we're gonna figure it out. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, dude. Thank you everybody so much for listening at Brennan T Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Get your tickets to the Bro Adjacent Tour, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Oh, I want to tell you this part of the story.